Welcome to the Environmental Government Website Information Workshop. Hello everyone, my name is Pia Nelson and I am a current MLIS student at San Jose State University. I'm excited to have you join me today as we explore these environmental government websites together. The purpose of today's workshop is to empower undergraduates and educators in environmental fields to efficiently navigate and locate valuable educational resources on U.S. government websites. Today's workshop will provide an overview of how best to approach new government websites. First, we will gain familiarity with the website structure. We'll explore a quick strategic method for gaining an essential overview by examining the website's heading tabs, footer links, search options, help and FAQ links, and contact options. Taking these initial steps lays the groundwork for developing more refined and effective search strategies. Then we'll explore locating educational resources at each of the websites. Through practical application, I will demonstrate how to pinpoint specific educational material and resources from each of the following websites, which include the Environmental Protection Agency, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, the National Park Service, the Natural Resources Conservation Service, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, the U.S. Forest Service, and the U.S. Geological Survey. All right, we've got a lot to cover, so let's begin. All right, we're going to start with the Environmental Protection Agency website. That is epa.gov. To begin, you'll notice in the upper left, there is an official website of the United States government notation there. And if you click here's how you know, official websites use .gov. So that can give you peace of mind when you are exploring new government websites that you are indeed at an official government website. Also, we're going to look at the About link. So About EPA, and then we're going to go to our mission and what we do. So this will tell you a little bit about the agency itself and what their focus is. So the mission of EPA is to protect human health and the environment. And then when you have time, you can certainly go through and review some more of the EPA works that they do. Next, we are going to go back to that homepage and we're just going to look at the headings. We've got environmental topics, you have an A to Z topic index, you have research, science topics, laws and regulations, you've got guidance, you can search by topic, you've got report a violation, and then, of course, back to the About EPA, which this is wonderful. You can see planning, budget, results, the organizational chart. You can find out more about the history, labs, and research centers. Next, we are going to just start scrolling down a little bit. And you'll notice on the agency websites on the homepage, it will have featured articles and featured topics that you can kind of see what's current, what they'd like to have focus on as you can click through. Also, just scrolling down, each of the websites will have their own news release area. So current news, they'll also have more historical available as well. And then each will have a footer. The footers are really great. Some of them are really robust, others maybe not quite as much, but they do each include certain details. So for this one, you've got data, you've got the newsroom, you've got links out to other government websites. USA.gov pretty much is on each of the agency websites we'll be looking at today. And then here, each has the Freedom of Information Act. EPA does a great job when you look at their area here, talks about frequently requested information, released records, as well as how to submit a Freedom of Information Act request. So definitely different areas to explore when you have time. All right. All right, so then as you scroll down, it also has the Freedom of Information Act news there too. I'll go back to that footer. You've got your frequent questions that can give you information that you might be interested in. Again, many of the footers of the agency websites we're looking at will have very similar links to help you with your information needs. All right, let's go back up to the top here where we can look at that search bar. EPA also has a advanced search option, so not just the basic. So when you click on that magnifying glass, you will notice it has show advanced. You also have a search help link. So this will really help you refine and narrow your research, get you the most relevant results. So under search tips, it goes into details. You can combine these as well. You've got keyword search, phrase search. You can use Boolean operators and or not. You can do field searches, wildcards. So it's really helpful to help you make the most out of your time and focus those search techniques. And you can just kind of scroll along, look more. You can filter results with facets. And then it goes into more detail about that advanced search. So definitely things to look into. All right. So we're going to head back up to the top. So the EPA does not make that educational resource as noticeable as you're going to see on some of the other agency websites as we go through those today. So as I go through these headings, I'm not really seeing anything specifically saying education. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go up into our search bar. We're going to do an advanced search. We are going to type in the word educator, and then we are going to do in the title, and then let's go ahead and hit advanced. And as we scroll down, we are going to see that second result, resources for educators. So here, as you look at resources for educators, you have various different options to choose from. I'm going to go ahead and look at learning and teaching about the environment. Here you have local resources you can look into. You can click the next slide. You have print materials, and we'll look at the third slide. And that is about K through 12 students and educators. As we scroll down, you'll see classroom resources and project ideas, lesson plans, community service project ideas, science fair project ideas, homework help and activities for K through 12 students. So as an educator or a undergraduate student with an environmental focus, these are going to be some great resources for you to explore further. All right, let's go ahead and we'll go on to our next website. Okay. The next website we're exploring is the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration website. The web address is noaa.gov. Towards the top there, you'll notice it has an official website of the United States government. Let's head on over to the right where you see news, tools, about, and let's look at that about so we can see about our agency. It's showing NOAA is an agency that enriches life through science. Our reach goes from the surface of the sun to the depths of the ocean floor as we work to keep the public informed of the changing environment around them. Of course, there's more to explore in regards to what it shares about the agency. We'll go ahead and go back up. And then, of course, as I mentioned, on that right side, you did have the link for tools and resources. And then you also had that link for news to explore. And then let's head on over to the left because that looks like it's got the main menu. When we clicked on the pancakes, as you saw, you have it changed to say home, and then it goes down the list of pages. You have the heading of weather, you've got the heading of climate, you've got the heading of ocean and coasts, you've got the heading of fisheries, you've got the heading of satellites, you've got the heading of research. There is the heading of marine and aviation. There's the heading of charting. There is the heading of sanctuaries. There is the heading of education, which again is going to be the ones we'll focus on here in a little bit. And going back to that menu bar, as we see down below, you've got news and features, tools and resources about our agency. So those links are down there as well. So definitely a lot to explore on this website. Close out of that menu bar. Let's just start scrolling down. As we've been noticing on the other websites, you've got latest features and additional details that they're focusing on that you can explore. Let's look at that footer. So the footer again has the news, tools, about, so various places throughout government websites that you're going to be able to access different links. So it's really nice as far as gives you different pathways to get to the same place. As we look through the footer, you're going to notice the Freedom of Information Act link is present on all the government websites. You're also going to notice it links out to other government websites, most often the USA.gov website. You're going to have your Contact Us link. So those are areas that you're going to notice on the footer of most of the government websites, that those are going to be very similar. Let's go ahead and scroll back up to that top here. And you're going to notice it does have a search NOAA sites. And we're just going to go ahead and put in climate, do a search. And here, as you can see, it unfortunately does not have that advanced search option like the EPA.gov website, where you can really filter and narrow searches. However, it does allow you to do a basic search, and then you can search just NOAA.gov only, or you could search video specific. So that's one way of exploring the website. Let's go ahead and go back to the home page. And out of curiosity, let's go under the option for, let's look at climate. So if we go to climate directly from that heading, you're going to notice a little easier way of filtering down what you're looking for, because it's kind of nice. It lets you know about climate home, collaborations and partnerships, funding opportunities, tools and resources, news and stories. Let's look at the tools and resources there. This is really exciting, I feel, from an educational viewpoint. You have these resources like Sea to Sky, Sea Level Rise Viewer, Climate Explorer. You've got the Environmental Sensor Map, the NOAA Shoreline Data Explorer. So definitely each of those headings, you're going to find things that are going to be exciting to look into, and resources that you're going to find will be really helpful in the classroom, as well as for undergraduate students with projects and such. All right, let's go back to that main homepage again, and then let's look into more that education specific. So we're going to go down to that education link. And here, as we can see, we can scroll down and see some more details. And here, I would be curious to see under resources. And then here, we can actually search resource collections, browse by topic. And so under resource collections, browse by topic, you can just kind of go through and see what different options are available there. So lots to choose from. And then if we go back up here, let's go ahead. All right. There is very specific ones you can choose from. Let's see. Let's go to the About NOAA educational resources. And then this is helpful because then you have how content is organized. You can see resource collections. It gives you data resources for educators, printable activities and materials. You have conference resources. So that particular link, I would highly suggest going into a little bit more in depth. So again, that was under the resources about NOAA educational resources. So again, at the end of this workshop, you're going to have various options to look into those educational resources at each of the government websites that we're exploring today. All right, so the next website we're going to explore is the National Park Service. The website is nps.gov. As you can see towards that upper left, it has the unofficial website of the United States government notation there. As we've been doing, let's go over and find the About link. So we'll click on Menu, and then as you can see, under Learn and Explore, we have the About Us link. Just a little bit of something about the website. So the group, since 1916, the National Park Service has been entrusted with the care of our national parks. With the help of volunteers and partners, we safeguard these special places and share their stories with more than 318 million visitors every year, but our work doesn't stop there. Of course, there's more details to take in, so something to explore further. As we go back up, we're going to go back to that main page, National Park Service. We'll go back to that menu bar just to explore a little bit. You've got Plan Your Visit. Under Learn and Explore, you do have the link for educators. You also have the link for news, photos, and multimedia. Explore by topic. We'll come back to this for that educators portion. You've got the Get Involved link. And then, of course, the link for search for parks by activity or topic, which you'll see throughout the website. And then, of course, going back up, you do have that basic search bar. All right, so we'll continue to scroll down a little bit here. You've got your Plan Your Visit. Again, you have the Find a Park or Explore America's Story by Topic. You'll notice featured stories as you go down the website here. We're just going to head down to that footer just to give you more details on what information you might find there. Very similar as you're noticing at the other government websites we've been looking at today. The footer here isn't quite as robust as some, but it does have certain elements you've been seeing, such as the Freedom of Information Act link, also the contact link, and then the frequently asked questions, as well as a link taking you out to another government website, the USA.gov, which we've been seeing on the other websites as well. All right. So now, well, let's go ahead. We'll start scrolling up again. Again, there's lots to take in. There's a link right here, America's Classrooms for Educators, something to explore. We'll continue going right back up here. All right, let's go up to that basic search bar. So let's see. There it is. We'll go ahead and click on that. It lets you know you can click search this site or all of the National Park Service. Just curious. Let's put in the word climate just out of curiosity and see what comes up. And so we do have some information, climate change partners, climate change and hurricanes. So it does give you some details there. Climate change teacher resources, Smokies launches Global Climate Educational Initiative. So there's definitely some things in here for the educators. Free climate change teacher workshop this summer. So different aspects to take in. Unfortunately, it doesn't really have the filtering option as we saw at the EPA.gov where you could do the advanced search, but you definitely can find information through a basic search. Let's go ahead and go back up under that menu and then go back to more about educators. So that was under the Learn and Explore, educators link. Here, pretty cool. You can go ahead and do a search, as you can see. You can filter by subject, grade level, Common Core. As you go down a little bit more, you've got Every Kid Outdoors, teaching with historic places, place-based lesson plans that teach history through images, maps, readings, and other primary source documents. Again, scrolling down, you got Spaceflight Explorer Junior Ranger, professional development, more educational materials. So definitely some great things here for educators as well as undergraduate students with an environmental focus. So definitely a website, as all are ones to explore further when you have a little bit more time and just kind of dive in and just explore and see what you can find. The next website we're exploring is the Natural Resources Conservation Service, which is found at nrcs.usda.gov. All right, so as you can see in that upper left, it has an official website of the United States government. And as we go over to the right here, we have the About link, so About NRCS. And as we scroll down, it just lets us know at the Natural Resources Conservation Service, we have a proud history of supporting America's farmers, ranchers, and forest landowners. And of course, gives you more details to explore. On the left, you can see it shares more about careers, civil rights, farm bill, history, leadership, partnering with them. We'll go ahead and scroll back up. Let's go ahead and look at those headers, get an idea of what else is available to find. We've got conservation basics. We have getting assistance. We have state offices. We have programs and initiatives. We've got resources. And as you can see here, a little later, we'll look into this. It's got the education and teaching materials. Other things to note would be the data and reports, as well as tech tools. And then, of course, we've got news and events. So you can see what's current. And then above, of course, you have more. You could subscribe. The About link we were just at, it takes you to farmers.gov, USDA.gov, and then the Contact Us, which is always important to make note of. All right. So now let's go ahead and start scrolling down to that footer. Of course, as you're scrolling, there's other details to take note of. All right. The footer, not as robust as some, but it does give you some important information. As we've seen in the others, you have the Freedom of Information Act link right there. The other links that'll take you out to additional government websites. Resources, give you more details, of course, glossary and such. And then there is a newsletter that you could subscribe to if you are so interested. All right, let's go ahead and we'll scroll back up. All right. And it does have a search bar. So out of curiosity, is a basic search. So we're just going to put in the word climate, see if anything comes up. All right, search hints. It does give search hints at least. So you can search for exact phrases by wrapping quotes around an expression, narrow search by adding words, searching for it may have lots of results. Searching for Equip Montana would have fewer. So although it doesn't have an advanced search, it does give you tips on how to create a search that'll provide you more of the information you're looking for. You can search everything or you can search videos. So again, although it doesn't have that advanced option like the EPA.gov website, there are ways to filter and narrow your searches. All right, so then let's go ahead. We're going to go back to that home page. And then as you notice, let's look into those educational resources. So we're going to go under resources. And then, of course, as we saw before, you have education and teaching materials. And then we can go here to view all education and teaching materials. And this is pretty nifty because you at least do have the ability to filter a bit more based on the education teaching materials. You can choose natural resource concerns. You can go under programs and initiatives, filter further, filter by state or territory. So definitely an area of the website you can explore a little bit further. Again, as educators or undergraduate students with an environmental focus, just an area of the website that you can gather more information.